Welcome back to Brilliant Fools. My name is Adam Green, and today on this 30,000 foot Thursday, I want to look at this concept of, I guess you'd say, the differences in the details. As we're talking about this week, we're talking about more boring stuff, the day-to-day, the mundane, and there's this common concept that the difference is in the details. I don't disagree with that. I want to make that clear first. I do agree the difference is in the details. I will put a caveat on there that excellence is not found in the minutia. In other words, getting super nitpicky about things, so much so that you don't move forward, that's an issue. That's one of the reasons why I am very glad that I have the background I do in behavioral analysis, is because I can identify where my behavior is kind of getting off sometimes, and where I'm having a hesitancy to act because I don't have all the super nitpicky details that I should have. When I have enough information to move forward and I can work out the details as I go along. It relates back to something that we went over at the Q&A yesterday, which is, do I need a simple business plan or something more detailed and robust? If you start with the simple, you can get to the detailed. But at least starting with the simple gets you somewhere. I'll liken it to a place I was at for a little while, and I started doing some, you could call it controller work, but ended up developing an employee handbook for them. And the employee handbook, when I started to get into it, I kind of got lost a little bit as far as where all the details needed to be, how much exact stuff I needed to have in there. And then eventually I was like, I don't think that's really all that necessary. And so I found a template that was a general template, gave me enough information to be able to apply it to the business I was working in, tweaked it here and there. And then after that, we got into more of the details in certain areas. So maybe a certain role needed to be more well-defined. That's fine. Now I can get into those details, but at least having the structure got me started. Excellence really was found more in getting it going, right? And starting and not letting the details stop me. Excellence is not found in the minutia. And I was letting that minutia stop me for a little while. Or stop me from, it wasn't stopping me. It was just, I felt like I had to get things together and then get going, you know? And man, you can liken that to, salvation, or even just the Christian life. How often do I come to God thinking, okay, I got to have things together. And then once I have things together, then I can present it to him and he can work with that. If I have something there. But really what he's saying is just get started, get going, get going. But as we think about some of this, mundane minutia type stuff, because we can kind of swim in it sometimes in our day to day, and when it comes to the business, especially if it's things that we aren't very clear on. I looked up what are some sayings that go into the day to day aspects of business, and how does the world look at it, and then I want to look at what Scripture says about it, at least how we can get through it. And some of the things that I found, or right off the bat, is the boring stuff is the business. And that really is true. What was one that sounds about the same? The unglamorous stuff keeps the lights on. I really like that one. Because even in the world of big events, I know some people that do big corporate events, whether it's with the executive side of things, or they put on shows for people or their speakers, those big things that we see, think of concerts, even the music that you see, there's a lot of preparation that goes in behind the scenes. In fact, there can be days and days or weeks or even months of preparation that goes in behind the scenes for something that's a few hours long, or maybe 1 hour long, or maybe even if it's a keynote, it could be 7 to 10 minutes long of a keynote speech. But there's a lot of preparation that's gone on behind the scenes, and that preparation is where the payment really comes in. That's where people get paid. I However, you do still have to execute it, right? And at least getting out there and doing it is better than not doing anything at all, even if all the preparation hasn't been done. Even if there are things that are still lacking, at least getting out there and doing it gets you moving forward. There is a place in Proverbs that talks about, it's the lazy man. I'm going to look it up right now because it just came to my mind. The lazy man, it's something about does not know how to go to market. How to go to market. There we go. All right. Here we go. It's, I think Ecclesiastes actually. Yep. Here we go. So Ecclesiastes 10:15, the toil of a fool wearies him, for he does not know the way to the city. And in this case, what it's saying essentially is, especially in an agrarian society, you're out there, you're working in the field, you're getting all your crops and everything ready. So now you have a harvest. Now you need to go sell that harvest. Or maybe if you have the wheat, then you beat the wheat down, you pack all the flour into bags and things, and then you need to go sell it all. But you don't even know how to get to the city. That's going to weary you a lot. That's going to cause a lot of that hesitation, a lot of the pause when it comes to the analysis, when it comes to getting lost in the minutia. That's not so much the difference being in the details of the way that you harvest the crop in this situation, the way that you beat out the wheat and grind it down into flour. That has more to do with the fact that you're doing all these things and you're thinking, yeah, great, but how do I even sell it? How do I even get it to people? And not knowing that is a huge, huge issue. So if you're having an issue with that, I would say for a lot of people, that's probably a hesitation. And I said lazy man at first, but really this says the fool. And a fool in this case is someone who's simply ignorant, right? And I can be ignorant of not knowing how to get to market. I've had that many times. There are some people that is the easiest thing for them, is getting their product to market, getting a service to market. Like, that's the no problem part. It's coming up with it and digging into the details. That's the issue. I think it's important to identify that for yourself. Are you one who knows how to get things to market, and then you kind of rush the details and you need to spend a little more time in them, and you need to make the difference by spending the time in the boring stuff, the stuff that's not the exciting presentation, but it's the preparation for it? Or are you the kind who can spend all day doing the work, but then you just wear yourself out because you don't know how to get it to market? You don't know how you're going to get paid for it. And that is a wearying thing. In that case, break off the details. Break away from the details, not break off. Just step away from them. Figure out how to get to market. Get it set up. Either be ready to get to market or just get something out there. There was a video I watched one time of a woodworker who sold things on Etsy. And he was encouraging people. He said, if you want to get started in this, because he was very successful at this point, he said, if you want to get started in this, just get started. So you can look on there and you can see all these pretty pictures. You can see all these great presentations of people who are putting things together and the amazing woodwork that's going on. He said, just pick something that you know you can do, and it can be very simple. The pictures aren't going to be good. Just get started. If you can get started and have that problem of getting to market solved, then you can start working on the details and refining things and refining the process. That would be my encouragement as far as those details are concerned. I think it's a very important aspect of all of this. And I want to leave you with a little bit of encouragement, though, and that is this one part. If I go back to the concert aspect or the big moment aspect of things, right? I do music. I've played worship music for half of my life, if not more. More than half my life, yeah. Play, sing, love it. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a wonderful thing to see people drawn in to the presence of the Lord and really having that beautiful, beautiful experience with him. However, that's not the majority of our lives, is it? The majority of our lives is in the mundane, and it's in the day-to-day, it's in the boring, it's the, what was that quote that I said? The boring is the business, the unglamorous. That's right. The unglamorous stuff keeps the lights on. I think it's the same with our Christian life. It's a principle of life that when we are not with the Lord, the lights start to go out. If we're not walking in the light, we don't have the light. If we are walking in the light, then we're already there when those big moments come, and we're ready for those big moments. There's an encouragement in James chapter 4. It says that, we'll start in chapter 5. Do you think the scripture speaks to no purpose? He jealously desires the Spirit, which he has made to dwell in us. He gives a greater grace. Therefore, it says, God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And remember, humility, true humility is saying the same thing that God says and believing him, trusting him, admitting our desires, our emotions, our desire to be right to him and what he says. Submit, therefore, to God. Verse 7. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. The devil's already beaten. We're not walking out there as soldiers trying to battle for our lives. The battle is won. The devil is beaten. He's still going to try to attack, but resist him and he'll flee because he is already beaten. Verse 8, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-minded. Be miserable and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned into mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the presence of the Lord and he will exalt you. And that's for sinners and double-minded people. Okay. But the first part of verse 8 there, I want to bring up, and I'm going to get a little nerdy and technical in it and get into the details some. It says, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. What that means, draw near, it's a Greek word, engizo, that's what it is, engizo. And it can be approach, but it also can be translated be at hand, come, draw near, come, draw nigh. In the more accurate version, the New American Standard Bible, it's several times used in the New Testament. But the way it's used is as something that's already happened. So this isn't something like we step into a worship service and draw near to God so that he will respond and draw near to us. It's our response to what he's already done. If you look at it, some of the examples of the way that it's used in the New Testament is the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is when they had approached Jerusalem. Time approached. He sent. The hour is at hand. The one who betrays me is at hand. So these things are things that are already done. And it's already happened. In fact, it is in the Greek perfect tense, indicative mood. So look all that up if you don't know what I'm saying, because I don't even know what I'm saying half the time in that. But what it means properly is that it has drawn close, not will draw near. So the interpretation there, or the translation there, can be a little bit unfortunate. But we draw near to God because he has drawn near to us. He's made his Spirit to dwell in us. It expresses extreme closeness, immediate imminence, even a presence. It is here. The moment of this coming has already happened. Christ saw to it. He came, dwelt among us. He died, rose again, ascended into heaven, and sent his Spirit to be with us and dwell in us. Why is that so important when I'm talking about the mundane? Because that's anything but mundane. But it is day to day. It's every day, and it's every moment of every day. And we can walk in that. And we can walk in that through the mundane and through the reviewing the books, through writing more ad copy, through defining the process and getting into the details of how the process is done, through developing employee handbooks, through discussions that we have to have, hard discussions with employees, with partners or vendors, and every moment of every day, he is at hand. So we draw near to him and we draw on his strength, and he gives more grace to us, not just his favor, but it is that's his strength, his power he's giving to us to move forward and do the things that we need to do. I hope this is encouraging to you and helpful and practical even. And until the next time, thanks.